All
Man,
right.
such an honor to have you back on the show. I'm a trilogy guy, so actually it's the part three. So, and there's always interesting thing to talk about because you never stop. But for people that maybe don't recognize your beautiful hair, beautiful beard, who the hell are you, man?
Massimiliano Antonio Cavalera, aka Max Possessed.
Hell yeah. Max, welcome back. It's so cool because since you talk, you have two re-release of three epic records. One EP that most of people didn't have the time to make a hand on it. I'm sure most people didn't have a copy of it, of the original. So it's so cool that you re-release it. And then you re-release Schizophrenia and Morbid Vision. But before getting into those crazy records and talk about what's coming up for you guys, I'm curious, let's get back to when you were a kid. How did you start discovering music, Max? And were there people around you that influenced you, family or friends, into discovering band?
Yeah, so it was a very small group of people that we knew. Maybe 10 of us were heavy metal fans in Belo Horizonte, our hometown, you know. Um, and really, everything really started after seeing Queen. My cousin took me and Igor to see Queen live in São Paulo, and Queen was phenomenal. It was an amazing show, and although I don't look at Queen as heavy metal, but they're a great band, you know, and it was great to see that live. And that kind of opened the doors for me to explore rock and roll, hard rock, and then eventually I found heavy metal. And then because of the situation that we were in at that time in Brazil, we our father died and we lost everything and we were really living really poor. I was with the need of something aggressive in my life, you know. And I discovered Motorhead, and then after Motorhead, we discovered Venom and Slayer and Voivod, and after that, like even Voivod. Here you go. After that, it was game over, man. This is it. You know, I had the fix of the anger and the aggression, and I wanted to play. I wanted to feel that. And when we play live, it was like I remember the first show. I felt possessed, like something happened, and I was in trance, and the feeling was like I want more of that. I want to play live more so I can feel that again. And it kept going, and it's still going to today. I still love that feeling that the live shows give me. Every time I step on the stage, I get this feeling. It's crazy. Okay.
Has such an impact, historically in the scene. There's such a live band, and it's so cool that you got that. I've got Van Halen. The first show I saw was Van Halen, and like you, it was not extreme music, but it gets you to, those core of catchy songs, but play it with like virtuosity and curiosity and energy. Like Freddie was a beast live. It's so cool. I envy you actually that you saw Queen. Never saw them, of course. I'm 43. I'm sure it was impressive.
It was impressive, man. I see you. Like you're right. They were. I think they're like the pioneers of arena rock. Uh, type of arena rock type band. And after that, I remember me and Igor became into rock and roll, and we wanted to find more bands. So uh, I think we bought Kiss Alive 2, and Igor bought Queen Live Killers. And a little bit after that, I became really into Van Halen as well. I remember I love Van Halen, man. And then of course we hang out with some shady characters, some guys with long hairs, and like older than us, And I always see them wearing like Judas Priest shirts and AC/DC shirts and UFO shirts, and it's like I gotta discover these bands now, So yeah, I remember first time I heard Judas Priest, it was Unleashed in the East. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like live, and then Rob Halford's vocals. So it just got into that. You know, you become a heavy metal fan. The best thing about becoming a heavy metal fan to me, I think, is like mafia. Once you get in, you can get out. It's for life. It's a commitment. We call ourselves lifers because there is no such thing as I was into heavy metal last summer. I don't like it anymore. That doesn't happen. You're
It's not
in.
a summer love.
No, no, it's for life, brother. You can't escape it. You can't get out. You know, you're in
It's
it.
so true. And
It's
it's so cool that you have your Voivod shirts. Recently, they've been on a mainstream show in Quebec, a French show called Tout le monde en parle. And it was kind of people are now aware of the impact of Voivod, like the mainstream people. We all know in the community, we all see Voivod grow. They're great fans. And you know, it's so cool to see that every band in the world has embraced what they did and achieved. And it's not the typical metal band. It's really prog, and they really try a lot of things. But I think that the way they inspire a generation to take an instrument and try and make people in Quebec realize that it's possible that an international career, even if you're from Quebec and you speak French, and they're amazing.
Yeah, I became a big fan of Voivod back in the 80s. Of course, I discovered War and Pain. Um, and then, I got into Roar, Killing Technology, and I love it. I love it. Because, okay, War and Pain is such a strange record. It's dissonant. It's almost like black metal, hardcore. It's crazy. Piggy's guitar is insane. In fact, Piggy's guitar is a big influence in Sepultura world. Like a lot of, I remember telling Andreas all the time. He would try to start a solo. He's going like, and I was like, no, 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 Piggy, man, Piggy, fucking dissonant, noisy shit. You know. So a lot of times, we use Voivod as a metaphor to do some of the stuff we wanted to do, especially guitar sounds and stuff like that. And I was fascinated by Away's drawings, the whole universe he created. Yeah, I got the chance to hang out with them last year on a festival. Soulfly was playing, so that was cool, man. I've not seen them in many years. I think last time I saw them, I was still with Sepultura. It was maybe 94, 90, 95. And then all these years later, we see each other in a festival, and it's cool to know we're still here. We're still going against the grain. It's great. It's great. But yeah, they are amazing. It's funny. I saw a bunch of old pictures the other day, and I got Voivod patches on my pants. My brother is wearing the Voivod shirts. They're a big influence for us back in the day, and still is today. Hopefully, one of these days we get to tour with them.
It's crazy because I'm sure when you entered the studio for Bestial Devastation, your first EP, and you didn't have any money and nobody knows the name, you never thought that after all those years, people will still wear those patch with the fucking name of the band and what you achieve. And I'm curious, what was the state of mind when you enter in the studio to for the first EP? Because you're young, but there's nothing like you want to hear in Brazil. There's a metal scene, but not like big as you wanted. There's no song like you had in your mind. So, what was your state of mind, and what was the goal that you want to achieve with the band at first?
Well, first of all, us entering in the studio, it was like I think it was like if we get kidnapped by aliens and be brought to an alien spaceship. We are in this spaceship that we don't know what any of these buttons are. We don't know what we don't know nothing. We are complete ignorant to the whole thing, like we are just kids. And I remember my brother tried to explain to the sound guy that he wants the sound of the drum to sound like a building falling down, you know. And the engineer is like, I don't know how to make that happen, man, you know.
What the fuck is talking about?
Yeah, like how you want me your drum to sound like a building being explosion of a building. Um, and I remember one guy also tried to unplug my distortion pedal because say sound better clean. It's like no, 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 I need this distortion pedal. That's where all the aggression comes from, you know. But yeah, you're right. Like there was no money, we had no money, and we had no time. We had to do everything in 2 days. But that's the drive is there, you know, the passion, the drive, the fire, man, you know. So I think we made the best of the situation. When I listen to these old recordings, uh, of course, I don't like the production, but I like the sound. I like the songs. I think they're cool songs, and that's why we re-record them. You know, we wanted to show the world what those songs, what we want them to sound like, is the way we re-recorded. You know, the re-recordings is really, really. An X-ray of what we wanted those records to feel like, to to sound like, and we could not do it at that time, and we had the chance to do it now. And I think the secret for the re-recordings to do they were received so well by the metal community because we did not clean it everything. We didn't try to make anything different. We played exactly the same, just with dirtier, even more brutal, even than the original. You know, we tried to put that on the state of mind as a kid. Like you just want the most brutal sound, and you play. Uh, in fact, Schizophrenia is actually faster than the original record. We went a couple BPMs faster, and it was kind of crazy. Like, really, you want to go that fast? And my argument was yes, because I think when we play live was a bit faster like that. So this will feel more like a live version of Schizophrenia. Yeah, and I think it's cool. I think I love the re-recordings. I think I love the charm of the original, but I love the sound and the attitude of the re-recordings. It's an amazing attitude. It's like an old car that you put a new V8 motor in it, you know? You just had this old piece of shit car and you put a brand new engine, and it's like now the car is amazing, you know?
I
I
love the
kind of
experience. Like when I listen to it, I really dig them, and I felt that it was right and it was very well done. And like you said, it gave a a chance to those songs. And like a lot of people didn't heard Bestial Devastation if they didn't buff like the remaster, I think, of Morbid Vision when they had like the EP. But now they can listen to those songs and have Schizophrenia sound way better. And I'm sure it's a fun experience to get back, and kind of because people are like, oh, it's the past, we live in the present, but getting back to the past make you understand, the valuable reason why you're still there, and you can inject that into the new stuff you create.
yeah, I call it. I even this tour that we are doing. I refer to as brutal nostalgia. You know, because it is like that. You know, it's going back in time to experience this metal that was brutal at that time. You know, when we at that time when we made these recordings, there was it's the beginning of extreme metal. You know, there was. It's not like now. It's different, you know. There's not so many bands at that time doing those kind of things. um and I think, like, to me, the most important thing as a musician, I think it's two things. um I have the opportunity to enjoy my works of the past, at the same time work in new things for the future. So it's like best of both worlds, you know. I have things like Soulfly that is, I have a new record this year, Go Ahead and Die, Killer BQ. Those are all things for the future. But if I want to revisit the past, I also have this amazing discography of records that were made in the 80s, 90s. They are incredible. You know, the body of work is incredible, you know. So it's very I feel very lucky that I get the opportunity to do that. And I get to do it with my brother as well, which is great, you know. Um, Especially when you think about brothers in bands, there's many of them that are no longer with us anymore, like Eddie Van Halen and Dimebag, you know. So I feel very lucky that me and Igor are still here and we still, you know, it's cool. When we get together, we become kids again. It's incredible. It's so cool. And I think that is the secret of life, man. It's stay 17 in your heart forever, you know. You can get as old as you want, but if you stay young in your heart, you're good, man. You know, that's like it's hard to do, but you can do it.
It's so true, and it's cool to see that the bond is still growing with time, and I'm really close to my brother, so I relate to that too. Because with
Yeah.
times you have families and you don't have time to see each other that often, but getting into a band, you got time to see each other and create, and it's beautiful. And you have the band Go Ahead and Die with your sons. That I did an interview with him. It's so cool that you bound with the family and you always stay close because I think family is everything and it make you stronger.
To me, it's crazy because you know we started in Brazil and our family was very strong in Brazil. Me and my mother, my brother, and then I moved to America, got married. So I started my own family, and in my mind, I wanted my family to be involved, like my family in Brazil was involved. And it was just a dream first, you know. Hopefully one day I get to share this music with my sons, you know. Um, and of course, I always did share it with my wife because she's my manager. So that was great, you know. So that I had that part covered. But when I got to really jam with the kids, with Igor and Zion, you know, Zion is doing Soulfly now for a couple records. We have the new one coming out this year, and I get to do Cavalera with my brother and my son. I got both of them. So family is very important, man. It's cool to have that for sure. You know, it's like out of everything that I did in my life, I'm most proud of it is that I got to do it with my family, with people that I really share blood, you know.
Thank you, Max. My mother always felt that metal is negative, but see, mom, there's a lot of positive thing you learn about metal.
Yeah, metal is the most positive thing in the world. But I know it's the negative image, but I understand. But if you once you are inside of the metal, it makes you a great person. It makes I think like in metal I hope at least there's less racism, there's less sexism, there's less prejudice, and there's more, you know, friendship, there's more bond. um I think it's also because you're part of something outside of society. I think it's cool too. It's a unique thing. You're part of something that's special, you know. You feel very kind of like proud to be part of something unique like this. And I think, it's cool like that. Like when you're in the airport and you see another guy with a heavy metal shirt, you go, "Oh, fuck yeah, how you doing, man?" You know, we have to do that. You know, this our
And
code.
it's exactly what I have in mind. I was about to say, I'm sure at the airport somebody recognized you, smile, and said, "Yeah, metal, dude." And you're like,
Even
yeah, it's a dysfunctional family, but you relate to that and you feel in a safe place when you see that. You're like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm not alone. There's people that
even when they
fucking
don't recognize me, I still do. What's up, man? Fucking cool, fucking shirt, man. Like a lot of times, of course, they oh, dude, it's Max, man. Oh, can we get a picture, this and that? But some other times it's been where the guy probably don't know who the fuck I am, and I've just given props because he's wearing a Celtic Frost shirt, and I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, good, cool shirt, man. Let him know. And
thank you. You always been down to earth, and I always said, I always felt that you're servant of the music. Like it's like the Force in Star Wars. It's something that you have to get out of yours, and it's yours till you release it, and then it's to them, and you're always the servant. So if you serve the ego, I think you lost yourself in the process. But if you serve the music and you stay humble, I think it profits you all your life, and you always stay humble and really close with the fans. And for that, I must say thank you, because 5 minutes can change the life of somebody. I'm sure there's people that have met you still talk about that story. Oh, 10 years ago I met Max. He's awesome. Love him. And buy
yeah,
everything you fucking release because he felt part of the family.
yeah, it's cool. And for also I'm a fan, of first. I'm a fan of the music first. I'm a musician second. I think that's the right way to be. Some people put themselves as musicians first and fans second, which is okay too. I don't have a problem with that. But to me, in my life, I'm a fan first. I like the music because I like metal so much. So I'm more first fan of everything metal. I try to discover new bands. I try to bring them on tour. I try to help promote them. It's part of being a metal musician. And then I'm a musician second, and I think that's cool. That's the way it should be. Yeah, it's great, man. I wouldn't change that for anything, man. That's the way to be. And I feel very very lucky about what music has given me. My salvation. You know, because what's the odds of a Brazilian kid with no money making it into the music world? Is like one in a billion. So I have to thank my lucky stars.
Yeah, when you started up, it was zero against everything. Everything was against you, but still, man, you should be proud because most of country like Canada, it's Celine Dion. But fucking Brazil, if you ask, what's the biggest band? They always say Sepultura, Max, and Igor, and everybody that had built that scene, and all the band after that grew with that. So yeah, it's amazing what you achieve. Of course, you see me coming. We miss you so fucking much in Canada. Is there any chance in 2026 that we see you around Quebec and Canada?
I hope so. I hope so. We haven't been there in a while, and I want to go back for sure. I love Canada. I love the Canadian fans. Um, yeah, let's come back to Canada. Talk to your border. Talk to your people.
Hookers, you hear that? You hear
Uh,
that? Max, you always been generous with me, and I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Again, people go grab the reissues of Schizophrenia, Morbid Vision, and of course, first EP, Bestial Devastation. It's available everywhere. We put link below so you can buy shirt and everything. And Max, congratulations with those re-release. They're amazing. And thank you, man.
Thank you, man. See you in Canada, buddy.
Cheers, Max. See you.
Is what you need. No more inhibition.